Alright, starting receiving your content. So, hopefully this time it goes a little bit better than last time.
Okay, there it is.
Because last time, half of the parts were missing. So, it's kind of a fake unboxing because I already unboxed it, but I'm going to sort of unbox it again. So, anyway, so this is the new stuff that came in this box that was all missing on the last time I did this. Specifically all of these screws that I kind of need. So, we will start. There's actually still one thing missing that I'm going to have him send me. But he said he would send it tomorrow once I went through. So I'm going to go through the part list one more time here while I'm recording. And just make sure everything is here, and then I will send them off the email that says, yep, all I need is the feet. So, hopefully that's actually what happens here. How's the audio coming through on the...
Extreme latency.
Well, yeah.
Well, I'm hearing you back.
Right.
But a full 4 second later.
Yeah. Yeah, I figured there. I've got it optimized for latency, but, you know, it still has to do quite a bit. It's also, the audio might be a little bit ahead of what I'm doing in the video, because I don't know if you read the description, but the video is going through my phone to an app that's called IP Video, or IP Webcam. And then, I ended up with 2 of this thing. Interesting. Okay, well, I'll use the one with the sticky pads. Oh, yeah, so from the IP webcam, then it goes to OBS, which then goes to YouTube. So there's a little bit of weirdness going on, but I think it's going to work. The video's a little jerky, but right now that's all I've got. Alright, back to where we were before. Counting pieces. I'm gonna sit down for this. Ugh. Alright. So, we've got round head screws with cushions. Okay, and there's supposed to be 7 of those. 2, 5, 6, and come on. There we go, 7. Okay, and then there's 4 big and 4 small, like hex thumb screw dealios. So there's the 4 big ones. Do you have a dog at your house?
Do I have a dog in my house?
Yeah.
No. I'm just moving my chair. It's making a lot of noise.
Oh, okay. 15 of these, so 1, 2, 3, 4. This is going to be the most interesting part of this whole video. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Okay. And then 6 flathead silver, or no, not silver, these ones are silver. Just black flathead, so 1, 2. They just look silver in the picture. 3, 4, 5, and 6. 3 little offset things, and plastic screws for those. And then 12 of these hard drive screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. 2.5mm tip M4 hex head screwdriver. Check. Toss this bag. SATA power and data cable, which is this one. Okay. I think I'm going to need more than that for my actual drives, but we'll see how that goes. Rack. So that actually came in the initial shipment, not in this box, but I'm thinking that's what that is. So that's the hard drive rack. Side I/O, dual USB, power button, etc. This was kind of important because without a power button, it wouldn't have been really useful to build the server. Power adapter plate for the connector that I have, which is this one, and I actually have a second internal power supply coming. I'm going to try to just use one of my old laptop ones today when I finish building this, but we'll see. 4-pin DC tip cable for external device would be this guy, and PCI cover bracket is this guy, and that's got a lot of airflow, even though there's no fans in this entire build. Okay, so all of that stuff that I just unboxed there, all of it was missing last time. So, hopefully... Oh, wait a minute, there's extras. What the hell is this? There's 4 little hex nuts over here. So I'll have to wait and see if I can find a place for those to live. For now, they'll just stay in the middle here. Okay, so on to the big pieces at the top here. So, top plate is this guy. Left side, right side, bottom plate, and the feet that go on this are the parts that are still missing. Oh, maybe those hex screws go in here. There's already... Oh. I wonder if it'll have me swap them depending on if it's AMD or a different motherboard, like mini ITX versus thin ITX or something. Anyway, we'll get there when I get there. So bottom plate, right side, back plate is here. Face plate, I got the black one because the whole rest of it's black, so why not? And the feet, which I know are missing still. And then I did not buy the thin ITX back plate because I don't have a thin ITX motherboard. Alright, and then this box. So, H1 is these little dinky silver screws. And I counted all this stuff out yesterday, but just to make sure I didn't lose anything since then. Or not yesterday, but the other day when I recorded the first version of this video. 2, 3, and there's 4. And I'm going to sit down again because this is not a good angle for my back. Alright, H2, 8 cup head hex screws. Cup head, so that's these. So 1, 2. Should get some little bowls or something to put all this stuff in. 3, 4.
I like how inclusive it is. It comes with the, like the glue, or that PC,
the thermal paste.
Can't even think of the name of it. Thermal paste, yeah, there you go.
So, yeah, and I think it's a specific, because it goes between the CPU and the copper plate and the heat pipes, and then the aluminum plate sits on top, so I think it's good for transfer from all the mediums. It's not like It's a Z5. I'm not sure if that's like a well-known brand. Um, Obviously, that's something I can like play with later if I don't think it's cooling well enough. I can go buy some of that like diamond or porcelain, um, whatever that brand is. We're brand agnostic here. There are no sponsors. All of this was not given to me for free. I did have to pay for it, but whatever. Let's see. So, moving on. 18 round head screws. 18, huh? H3. That's these little dinky tiny ones. Oh, no, no, no. 4 pieces. It's 3 by 18. So that's the, like the size of the screws. So there's only 4 of those. There should be, unless I've lost something. Let me check my email to make sure, because I already sent him a list of the stuff that was missing last time. Well, they weren't missing last time. So these are the flathead silver screws. Oh, these might be... Oh, that's H1. I'm looking for these. Never mind, I'm being stupid. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. That's going to be frustrating for people watching that already saw me do this right one time. And then 16 of these guys. 2, 4, 6. And I will probably go get a couple of bowls for these. 8, 10, 12, 14, 15, and 16. Okay. And then left and right bottom rack brackets. The right brackets were missing from this kit. I don't actually know if that's because I somewhere put that I was building an Intel machine when I ordered this. I don't think I did, but I got lucky because they sent me the Intel ones and that's what I'm building, so no worries there. Bottom rack, so I ended up with 2 bottom racks. One of them has sticky pads though, the other one does not. So I will probably use the one with sticky pads just because it seems more... Oh, and they're actually a little bit different. It looks like they're made by different manufacturers. The pegs aren't the same height. They're pretty close, but they're not exact. And these little... The plastic bumps that go around the pegs are rounded on this one, and they're super rectangular on this one. So that's interesting. But I'll put that one aside. And we'll keep this one over here. Bottom holders and double tape for AMD. It did include those, so that's why I think it's a little weird that they got the Intel backers, but I won't need those because I don't have AMD. Plastic screw holder, 4 pieces. There's 4 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4. Aluminum plate for heat pipe is here. Dumbbell tool to apply. This was... Let's see if I can get this up to the camera and have it be focused. Not really. This is a lot harder to hold stuff up than I thought it would be here. Let me try to get the autofocus changed. My little web interface over here. Yeah, well, anyway, it's this little dumbbell thing to smear the grease in the grooves of these so it fits the edges really nicely. So I'll leave that in there. Copper heat pipe, there's all those pieces, the copper base plate, aluminum top plate. What did I miss here? Oh, H9. Sorry, this was the aluminum plate for installations up here. So there's 4 of those, which is good. I actually read on one of the forums, one of the suggestions from someone was to add, because I guess this used to only come with 3 of these, and he had a really good spot to kind of custom where he put the heat pipes that would have worked really well for the layout for his motherboard, but he couldn't actually do it because he needed a 4th plate. So looks like they actually listened and added a 4th one to the kit, so that's cool. And then let's see, high quality thermal paste, and that's there. And that looks like everything. So let's turn the page. Get all these screws off of here. Make sure there's no more parts. So we went through the chassis, that's all this stuff. All that stuff's sitting there, and that is there. All this stuff is here. Or there. And there we go. And we start building. So I am going to run to the kitchen real quick and grab some bowls for all these screws, and I will be right back. See if I can put that in the chat. Be right back. Gathering organizational supplies. Alright.
Is anybody else on this chat?
Say what?
Oh, just you. Is it just us 2?
Yeah, right now. You're the only viewer. I mean,
okay.
People watch the videos when they're not live too, though. It ends up listing on the normal YouTube list. Okay. So all the stuff from the right page will go in this bowl. And I don't want to slide it off the edge of the desk because I'm going to drop one if I do that, so let's do it the slow way. Need to get a little magnet screwdriver. Okay. So that plus the little barbell thing, and these, and this, which doesn't fit, but that's fine. It's just going to be in the way for now. Okay. And then this page, a little easier to pick up because I already stood them all up. And those 4 nuts that I still don't know what they're for. And I'm going to fire off this email to Larry at HDPLEX saying, yep, everything's here, thank you very much. And then we can get on with it. Okay, so just make sure I get everything off this page before I pick up the book and lose something. Okay. So step 1, the feet that I don't have, but that's just feet, so I'm not that worried about that. Alright, so the motherboard that I got has 3 SATA 6 gig slots, so I'm going to use all 3 of them and do RAID 5 on these 3 Samsung SSDs. So the first piece is this guy, and it says install SSD on the bottom plate using 4 pieces D and SATA power and data cable flat connector. It has 2 additional SSD installation positions. This step is optional, but it's not optional for me because I'm putting 3 hard drives in. So, for 4 pieces of D, it's these flat head screws, of which there are only 6. So, that's odd that it's not using the SSD screws, but maybe they're not long enough to go through the bottom of the case. So, 1. No, those are the hex ones. I need the regular ones. Shouldn't have put these all in one bowl. This is all the bowls I could find quickly, though, and I didn't want the stream just sitting there. Live streaming 0 motion. 2, 3, and I think I have my little tiny screwdriver kit, so I shouldn't need to go anywhere else. Okay, here's these 4 screws. And up here, there is a kit. Alright, sitting back down. I don't know why I keep standing up. Okay. So, they even have the same Samsung in there, well, picture as I have. So that goes there, and 4 of these. Maybe? They're not lining up. Okay, it goes through the hole just fine. So it's just an alignment problem. Yeah, dude, your chair is really loud.
Yeah, it doesn't seem quite as loud because I have my headphones on.
Yeah. Alright, there's 1 screw, so the others should be easier to align after that. This is one of those where I really hope I don't need to RMA any of the computer parts, because once this thing is put together, it's going to be a pain to take apart. This is very, very compact. Okay. Oh, that one feels a little wonky. There we go. Yeah, it sounds like you had beans for lunch every time you move in your chair.
Yeah, the imprecision of my really cruddy laptop mic doesn't.
It's not conveying the sounds well.
No, it's not.
Okay, so this bad boy, which oddly looks like, it looks a little different in the picture. It's 1 integrated cable that showed up for me, but it looks like it used to be 2, but that's fine, I'm sure it will work. Oh, so a word for the wise, you might want to put this cable in before screwing the hard drive in, because it's a little tight. The cable itself is has more like rubber padding around it than I think the original, so it doesn't quite fit in there as nicely as it would if you did it before it was screwed down. Okay, so that's done. So now install the side I/O using the 3 copper posts and nylon screws. So luckily that one's really easy to dig for because they're very unique in this set. 3 copper posts and the coolest little weird clear plastic screws I've ever seen in my life. At least that I can remember. I will try to hold one up, but I doubt it's going to be visible. And let's see if the focus will work here. Come on. I don't think it can focus that close. Anyway, they're these clear plastic screws, and they're pretty cool. Nylon, I guess I should say. Okay, so that goes into one of the side panels. Probably this one, because it actually has the holes. Okay, so the posts screw into the panel. And then the panel... Let me know if the actual video itself, like where my hands are, gets really out of focus at all, so I can fix it.
That's perfect right now.
Okay.
It's on the lower half of the screen, but it's all visible.
Yeah. Well, I can see what it's... I'm kind of far-ish away from the actual computer screen that's doing the OBS, so... Okay, so the screws, or the posts are in, and then this deal... Cable folds over this way, and that just kind of sits in place there. And on the forums, there were some mentions that these nylon screws aren't super tough, so not to torque them down too hard. So I will make sure not to torque them down too hard. I'm sure I could go find one in the garage that would work. I'd rather not have to. Okay. Guess I should say that I'm actually back in the chat. Back at it. Although it's pretty obvious that the hands are moving around. Oh, I already took the screw out. I'm digging through the bowl for no reason. Yeah, these are... You gotta be really careful putting these nylon ones in, because it doesn't... The threads don't match up very easily, and so you're gonna risk stripping / destroying the threads on the nylon. There we go. So before hammering it down, definitely make sure it's going in how it's meant to. Oh, I need to feed the animals, I forgot. I got home and it was thundering really bad, so I went and hid Leo up under the bed. And Alice went and hid underneath my desk, and she just walked in here staring at me, licking her lips like it's dinner time. So, there is the side I/O installed. And I'll also put that up here for now. And I'm going to real quick go dump some food in the dog's bowl. So, once again, I will be right back. Okay. Next, we gotta do some thermal grease, I think. Or very soon. Okay, install the H5 rack on the copper base plate using 4 pieces of H1. Install the H6 rack. Okay, so the H5 rack is the little hex pieces. So these. And the copper plate is hiding now. Warning, remove before installation. Yeah. Thermal paste doesn't go through paper very well. Okay, so these things go on here. This is not completely symmetric, so I really want to make sure I don't screw that up. In the picture, you can see the ridges underneath this edge, so I'm going to do it that way. Dang it. Ugh. So my right wrist is kind of puffy, as you can see, from a bee sting when I was doing my hives yesterday, and it makes bending my wrist to do this kind of stuff a little bit difficult, but I've been waiting to put this thing together for a long time, so I want to do it, even if it's going a little slower than I thought it would. Okay, so that uses H1, which are these little tiny silver dudes, and it should be in this bowl. Let me put this back over here so I remember which one goes on which side. And there's 4 of those. Okay. It's interesting how modular this little kit is for all the different types of motherboard, CPU, power supply combos that you can do. Come on. Really need a magnetic screwdriver here. This one's got a little bit of charge to it, but I think that's artificial. It was not meant to be a magnetic screwdriver. Yeah. Okay, there's 2. Almost 2. Ooh, this one's pretty heavy.
So is this a full width server? Like, is it a 2U rack or like regular?
No, it doesn't.
Desktop
It
width?
doesn't have any rack mounting or anything. It's the server itself is, well, at least I don't think it does. The whole server itself acts as a heatsink. So if you look at these side panels, they're essentially like giant finned, like heatsink parts. So there's heat pipes that go from on top of the CPU, and you can actually get some aftermarket third-party ones to go from the chipset as well, like the Northbridge or whatever. So this one's going to be completely fanless, and it's just going to sit, for me, just behind my computer monitor on the little raised part on my desk.
Pretty sweet. I'm excited to see how this thing works.
Yeah, I was talking to, at the DevCon, there was the Red Hat lady that lives nearby, and I forgot I was going to ask her, because her whole little lightning talk was about virtualization and containerization and stuff like that, and she works on Red Hat, and I can't remember how it's pronounced, Kubernetes or whatever it is. It's like a competitor with Docker, or Docker Swarm. So I was going to ask her, because I want the server itself to be able to do VMs, but also to be able to do like Docker or other kind of containerization without having to do that inside of a VM. So far I haven't found one that can do both natively. The solution is always, we'll just spin up a VM and run Docker inside that. And it's like, well, yeah, of course I can do that. I could just do that on my desktop computer now, though. Like, the whole point is that this is going to be a better situation. So, anyway. Let's see. So that's installed, and then install the H6 LGA 115X bottom rack, which is the thing that I have 2 copies of. On the back of the motherboard, remove the protecting cover from the copper baseplate surface, which I will do at the very end because I'm probably going to get fingerprints all over it. So I need to grab the motherboard here. Oh shit, I just knocked something off the back of my desk. Hopefully not something that I need. We'll find out later. I think it was just a sticker. Alright, so this I've already got a few things plugged in.
I'm just testing my push to talk settings.
It seems to be working. At least I could just hear you. Okay, so we're supposed to install this using... Oh. Doesn't say what to use to install this. Oh, actually,
Nice.
I mean, it's kind of obvious from the picture because there's these big plastic screw standoff things. So there's that. I'm assuming this thing just pops into the little holes, and it's also sticky. So, sticky goes over there. So I'll line up the holes and the sticky. Yeah, the other one wouldn't have actually... The extra one that I got today I don't think would have worked because it didn't have any of the sticky. So the second I flipped this thing over, it would have just... I mean, it would have worked. I would have eventually got the screws in there. It just would have been a pain in the butt. Okay, so there's that. It says, apply a very thin layer of thermal paste to the copper base plate. Install 4 pieces of plastic screw holder onto the 4 corners and install the copper base to the motherboard using 4 pieces H3. So the screws for this, I think, are those long silver ones. Need a bigger desk for this. So H3, yeah, these are the long silver ones. Okay. So 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's not silver. Just felt right. And 4. Okay. So the question is, I'm assuming I can get these in place and then install... Oh, maybe not. So it looks like... So apply a thin layer, install 4 pieces of plastic screw holder onto the 4 corners. Okay, so these have to go onto this thing before. They slide on the corners of it like this. So that has to happen first. So I actually do need to put the paste on and have this thing ready to go. I do find it interesting that they don't say in the instructions, make sure your CPU is installed before you do this. Like, kind of an important step there. But as you can see, mine is. And as far as I can tell, there's no grease or anything on it. Got pretty good angle with the lights above me here. So, and they say apply a very thin layer of thermal paste to the base plate surface. That seems a little counterintuitive to me because every single thing I've ever read about doing this, you should be putting a pea size, or a grain of, not a pea size, a grain of rice size in the middle of the CPU itself, and then putting it on. So I'm going to go with that, and then I'll just fix it later if it's not good enough. And somebody came into Discord. Devin? Josh?
Wubba lubba dub dub.
Wubba lubba dub! Don't forget you're live streaming to YouTube right now, so...
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just getting to the point of installing the thermal paste on the CPU and putting the heatsink on that. So there's my grain of rice-ish.
That's what I've been waiting for.
Yeah. Oh, wife is home. I will warn her that we're live streaming. Hey you, I'm streaming. Okay. So, goop is on. It's not the prettiest grain of rice goop I've ever seen, but it'll do. And now this part I think is going to be a little bit harder then. Oh, and I have to figure out the orientation of this. Ooh. That they don't show you. So, This may be a put it on now and then take it off and rotate it situation later.
I think the mounting brackets are rectangular.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay, well, then there's only going to be one way for it to work, and we won't have to worry about it. Good call, Dubs. That's why you do these kinds of videos, so other people can watch you screw up, so they don't have to screw up themselves.
Exactly.
Oh! Yeah, this is a really awkward little deal here, having to put these on and then screw it in. Okay.
Does that heatsink come with a backing plate?
Yeah, I already did that part.
Okay.
Okay, so if this is rectangular, then that is not the right way. So I might actually just take the RAM out for now because I think it's going to get in the way of some other things until it tells me to put it in. And now there's a vacuum. Oh, dang it. Okay, let's try this way. And kind of looks like the holes are lining up a little bit better, but not 100%. I might have to actually get the screws in there just to get it to, because these things kind of slide a little bit. Oh, come on, tell me I don't have to screw all the way through that bracket to get it to go down. You're kidding me. Oh, no, there's just a weird... Oh, you have to screw it through this plastic, though, because there's a tab in there. Ooh, it's a one-way. It's like a little ratchet thing, so once you start pushing it in, it ain't coming back out. I guess you can unscrew it, but it's something to keep in mind. Don't force pull the screw back out. It will come out if you unscrew it. You being the future audience. Alright, I gotta get a better angle on this. You guys get to see the back of my head for a second. Okay, so the outermost screw holes are gonna have to be lined up. And I feel like this is not gonna work for the direction of this because it's gonna be putting heat pipes directly into my RAM. So if I can't get it aligned the other orientation, then I'm gonna have to swap the brackets. Oh, fuck, vacuum. So let's see. I think that'll work. So even though it's rectangular, it looks like I can adjust the little things, the little feet. Yep, that'll work. I just gotta get all the screws in. There we go. Okay, there's two sort of lined up, so I'll at least get those starting to thread so it stops moving so much. Okay. And 3. And 4. Okay, so install 4 pieces plastic screw holders onto the 4 corners and install the copper base to the motherboard using 4 pieces. Do not over tighten as this will bend the rack and put too much pressure on the CPU. There should be a small gap between the bottom of H8 and the motherboard surface after the screws are tightened. Okay, there's going to be more than a small gap because there's physically a chip in the way, so... Oh, unless they're talking about the plastic. There should be a small gap between the bottom of H8. Oh yeah, so that's the plastic holders. Okay, so do not screw it down to the point of the holder slamming into the actual board. Okay. That feels pretty solid. Yeah, that ain't going anywhere. Okay. Time to turn the page. Turn the page. I get that reference.
Great song.
Okay. Install the motherboard to the chassis bottom plate using A. So A is the 7 pieces of little round screws. And the bottom plate is here, which has cables and stuff hanging all over the place now. Okay, so this is... Give me an orientation here, guys. This is a perfectly symmetric, almost. Well, I guess the slot pattern is different. So here... I just gotta figure out what way to orient the motherboard. So if this is the back of the case... let's look at another picture. Let's look at this other picture that I'm hiding. No. So the slots that go front to back are on the front of the case. So the board goes this way. It's a good thing there's pictures. Okay. So there's standoffs for the 4 corners of this board. And then, let's see. I don't think I need any more than the 4 screws, so... And that thing lines up dead on those. There's like a nice little depression that it glides into. Yeah, when it's lined up. That's nice. So... Oh, these cables are going to be a pain in the butt. Let's see, so I was looking for A. One more time, the little rounded ones. And there's 4 of these. Oh, there's 7 of these, but I only think I need 4 of these. Threads aren't matching up on this one for some reason. Hopefully that's the screw and not the board. Or the case, I mean. Put that on the side. Yeah, it was that screw because that one went right in. 2. Step complete. Put this back in here. Okay, so apply a very thin layer of thermal paste to the heat pipe groove on both side panels using the dumbbell shape tool. Install both side panels on the H1S bottom plate. Okay, so this is this side. And this one will go here. So I think I'm going to have to flip it over to do that, because the screws come up from the bottom and into these. So, apply a very thin layer of thermal paste first, using the dumbbell tool, which is here. And we'll just squirt a little bit, smear it, and we'll see how much that is and try it on the next one. Let's put that up there. So very thin. So that should be enough to just spread out. That's actually probably too much. Just keep spreading. Spin the tool around a little. Get it nicely evenly coated. Okay. Also should pay attention to how much of this. I guess I have more from previous CPU installations too. God, this is weird. I mean, I get why you do it, but I've never had to do this with thermal paste before or anything like this, for that matter. I'm glad your microphone is much better now, WJ.
Thank you.
So there's
I got my cable in.
Oh yeah, that was quick.
Yeah.
You got that fancy Amazon auto drone service or something?
One day.
What?
It's going through my keyboard too, so
Oh yeah.
the desk is nice and clean again.
Ah. Not me. I still have that super extra long one that I just dug out of the case we got when we were at PAX last time. It's working. I think it's actually working better than last time. I listened to the video from the first time I tried to do this, and it actually was pretty terrible. So I'm hoping that it doesn't sound as terrible this time.
You're sounding pretty good right now.
Through the video or through Discord?
Through Discord.
Yeah, so we'll see on the final output.
Is that thermal paste you're putting on?
That is thermal paste that I am putting on. And that is why I said this is the weirdest thing I've ever done. Well, not ever, but with thermal
That's a
paste.
lot of paste.
Yeah. Well, it's super thin. Like, I'm hammering this little tool down pretty hard. So I put, like, 3 little dots. The first one I did a big long stream, but I put 3 little dots in and then just spread it out, and it seems to be happy with that much. So, oof, that's a workout. This arm is sore from the bee sting, so it's not super happy with. Ugh. Okay, so grooves are a little bit longer on this one. Not much longer, maybe like 10% longer, so I won't really mess with the paste amount. Just squirting a little bit every 25% of the length or so.
Why does it go in all 3 grooves?
There's 3 heat pipes on each side,
Okay.
so they will eventually be contacting copper as well.
So the idea is to transfer the heat out of the copper into the side of the case.
Yeah, and then the side, I don't know if you saw this. So these are finned.
Yeah.
So the whole
Okay.
case basically just acts like a big heat sink. Okay. Almost done with the weird part. When do your mining cards show up, Joe? Oh, Joe might have disappeared on us.
Nope, no, I'm here. Tomorrow.
Okay. Are you going to live stream your server build?
Well, I mean, kind of give me ideas here. I certainly could.
Well, this is.
I won't get all the parts until probably next week sometime.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah, this was the only way I
I'll
could
be
figure
getting
out.
4 cars tomorrow, and then I'll get the next 2 on Thursday. But the actual case that I ordered, built specifically for an Ethereum build, and it also includes all like the extensions for hooking up 6 graphics cards
Yeah,
to a
right.
single
The riser
motherboard.
cards and stuff.
Yeah, so I would only I could rip apart my existing desktop and put like 2 or 3 in there, and that would be all I could do.
Yeah, just wait till all the stuff is here.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I will consider it definitely.
This was my because I couldn't figure out since I don't have any real like recording video camera equipment. It's just like the DSLR on my cell phone, and they will stop recording after certain file sizes are reached. This was my way of getting YouTube to actually record the entire thing for me, basically.
That's working pretty well.
Yeah, other than the jerkiness from the weird going through cell phone to going through Open Broadcaster to going to YouTube, but the audio comes through really well on the video on YouTube. It's just the video is, kind of jerky. Okay, I think I've spread that as thin as I'm going to be able to spread that, so. Alright, what's next? Putting them on with, I'm sure they tell me which screw to use. Let's see. Using A. So that's the little black ones from before. Yeah, the round ones. That's why there's 7 of those. Wait a minute. No, because I need there to be 8 of those. So the CPU goes on, or not the CPU, the motherboard goes on. Did I do this wrong already? Oh no, I already did that step. Install the motherboard to the plate using A. Then it just says install both side panels on the H1S bottom plate. It doesn't actually say what screws to use for that. So that's an oversight. So hopefully I can just figure that out based on the size of the holes, etc. There's 2 on each, and then a 5th one up front here for the front plate or the back plate, whichever one. So what do I have 5 of? Absolutely nothing. Everything has 15, 7, 4, 6, or 12. Great. Well, they're beveled for sure, and these little hex head ones fit in the groove kind of perfectly. So let's see if those will screw into the holes on the other side. if they will, then that's what we'll use. I'm going to put this down. Already getting thermal paste on my hands. Oh, those are hex. What am I doing? This screwdriver. Okay, that's got to be it, because those screw perfectly, and they fit in the holes. But would be nicer to have the instructions actually tell you. Okay, so this was here. This one goes, let's see. It's got to be here, because I think that this little groove in the top, so this one's got a slit right here. I think that's where the SSD rack goes, so that's got to be on top. So this one would go here. And this one,
Careful of your cable there.
yeah, got all kinds of gross going on with this thermal paste. Trying not to get any on my hands. And this one would go here. So I'm just going to flip the whole thing this way. To screw it together. And this will just bend around. Okay. So the hex ones, there we go. So it'll look all industrial and cool because it's all these hex screws on the actual case construction. Although this is on the bottom, so that doesn't really make any difference. But oh, shoot. Come on. Alright, one side done. And this one's not lined up. This seems a little, maybe this slides in underneath the board. Let me just double check that that's going to work. Okay, so then the fifth screw would go in that hole. So that lines up nicely. Good. I have to clean off the outside when I'm done with this. I got some grease on the, past the back of these channels. But anyway, step complete. So from what I've read, the location of the ATX on this, on the front here, is actually going to be really handy later, just because of where all the heat pipes go, because this is, you know, the power supply thing, just, you know, put the wire down and snap it in, whereas a lot of the boards have it on the side, so it'd be flipped this way, and the heat pipes then are right where your power cord is trying to go. So if you can, get a board that has this orientation. So the ATX connector is on the opposite side from all the ports. You being other people trying to build this thing. Okay, what's next? Oh, I'm gonna run out of space for this book soon. I have to just put it on the side. Okay. Connect SATA power, USB cable, and SODIMM memory module first. These ports might not be accessible after the heat pipes are installed. Okay, so SATA power is... double check these other little boxes. Because I do believe that my little ATX power converter thing that I bought from them also has the SATA power cable with it. Yes, it does. That's what that is. So, SATA power would go... Now I need to get the motherboard book out, probably, to figure out where everything plugs in. Because not all of them are labeled. That's USB, which is this thing. That's maybe unfortunate. Oh no, that's the big USB 3 header there. So that'll eventually go there. I'm not going to put it in yet. Joe just fell off. That's alright. This is power switch and power LEDs. Suppose I can probably find a way to finagle in there after everything's together. Oh yeah, they're right on the front here, so that'll be easy. So I don't have to worry about that. This is like the 4-pin old school Molex connector for that SSD that's underneath the board, so I have no idea what I'm going to hook that to yet. Yeah, interesting.
What does that go to?
This would be like in from the power supply.
Yeah, and on the bottom side, what does that connect to?
That's a SSD underneath the motherboard. It's the third slot down there. The two slots, let's see, where's the little bracket? So the other two will go on this thing, whichever way this mounts, in the middle, on top. But the third one, there's nowhere to put it, so they stick it underneath the case in between the feet, which apparently is actually the coolest spot on the thing. Uh-oh, gotta sneeze. Ooh. Thank you. Hopefully that wasn't too loud on the video, but I can edit it later, I guess. Anyway, so this is motherboard book time, because I'm not entirely positive which one of these little power headers is the SATA one. So let me grab that. Because it's getting really hot in here. Okay. This is what we're looking for. So, if we wanted to look at it like the book shows it, this way. Oh, I see why they have the feet. This thing wobbles a lot when there's no feet. So I'll just have to wait till Thursday or whenever to put those in. Alice. Ugh, I knew that was going to happen at some point. Is there a dog outside, Alice, or a rabbit or something? Hey, come here. Come lay down. She's like, yeah, right, dude, that's not happening.
Good one, Dad.
Yeah. You're funny, Dad. So, ATX 12 volt goes here. That's the CPU power. SATA 5 and 4 are these, and this is also an M2 connector apparently. And then SATA 0, 1, 2, and 3. But it doesn't say anything about where I should put power. So maybe that's just not how this board is built.
What do you mean put power?
Well, in the picture here, in the book, they have a SATA power cable. Let's see if I can get this going. Here, going into the motherboard directly, which seems a little bit like they maybe on the board they're using the power routes through the board to get everywhere instead of just straight out of the power supply. Maybe.
That's strange.
Yeah, it's. I'm not seeing that that's how this is going to work. And then also in the later pictures, that cable is not there at all because it's a different board in the later pictures, completely. Or it. Well, maybe that's just a different orientation. Either way, it doesn't make any sense. So, this is the power to all my hard drives. Then this thing would plug. Came with this. So this is their ATX converter deal, which you can either use this guy, which is the old laptop power supply thing, and that clips to this, and then everything comes out of that on the sides.
Okay.
Or you can use what I have on the way, which is a separate like little internal power supply that just mounts like up here, but it's the same thing. So the question stands still is how do I get power to the hard drives? Because this little plug for this SATA power cable has nothing to plug into, either type. Like I think this is actually into something else. So, that's a conundrum. Like, what I'm used to is that there's just a connector off your power supply that goes straight to hard drives.
Yeah, that's how mine is.
Which would normally be like this kind. Well, not normally, that's the old school kind, but that definitely
The
does
SATA
not have
version of that.
Yeah. Well, the other end of this cable is the SATA version of this. I mean, you didn't see me put that in, but that's what that was.
Oh, okay.
So here's the data part. So that's going to be plugged into SATA slot 0 eventually, which is this one. Yeah, and there's absolutely nowhere to plug power, or nothing to plug power in for this one. So, I might have to dig through boxes of old cables and stuff to see if I can find something that would convert to that, or maybe my power supply box for my desktop. But I'd rather not just start skipping steps, although they do just say to do this because you might not be able to reach it later. USB cable and SODIMM memory module first. Okay, well the USB cable is this guy, and it is wicked long, and it's going to take some creative routing, I think, to stay out of the way of all the heat pipes, etc. But we will go... I shouldn't have done that. Behind this for now. And then it goes into the board here. To the wobbly board, because there's no feet. And that feels like it's in all the way. Okay. Apply a very thin layer of thermal paste to the copper plate groove using the dumbbell tool. So the layer they do on the copper is even thinner than the one they showed on the... Like, it seems like it's mostly there to be sticky, not so much to actually be... Where did I put the tool? It was in here.
Is this at the center of your thing?
Okay. Spread that out. Leo is under the bed still, so he hasn't had his food. Yeah, we had loud thunder earlier. There was a hailstorm, and the cat has not had dinner yet because he was hiding.
No, poor guy.
Well, he actually wasn't hiding when I got home. He was cowered in a corner because he was too scared to move. So I took him upstairs so that he could hide. Okay. Alright, so for all thin ITX and mini ITX motherboards with a 24-pin connector on the front, which I think is mine, arrange the 6 heat pipes following one of these 2 examples. Yeah, I honestly think that the cable should not go first, because now they're just going to be all greased up and gross. But I guess we'll see how hard it is to put these pipes on with them here. I'm going to wrap this around this first. It's a little bit out of the way. Nope. Come on. Okay, so... my RAM is on the front, so I guess it doesn't make a difference. So I guess I can just get to choose the direction of my pipes. That goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1 is the 30-degree bend, so that's the big one.
They all look like 90.
No, like the bend is this direction, not this direction.
Opposite.
So they go up to match with the channel, since the channels are at 3 different heights.
Ooh, okay.
And one of them is way longer. So 1, 2, and 3 are the short ones, which is goofy because the short ones are on the right side of the package, not the left side. I guess it depends on the orientation of the package. And then this is 4, 5, 6. So they have 1 here.
You got me wanting to upgrade my server.
I thought you just did.
I put hard drives in it, but I want to put more RAM in it.
Oh. Okay, so that's that pipe location. It's a little bit fidgety trying to fit it in that groove. So I think the pipes aren't quite perfectly sized, but that's alright. So 1, and then 2 goes under that. Slide it in. And then 3. This is the one that's going to hit the freaking cable. Alright, that's not too bad. Although it can't be wrapped around that in the long term. There's all kinds of room up here, though. Okay. And then 4 is flat. Goes on the front again. So wait a minute. Oh, did I just do that completely wrong? I think I just did that completely wrong. I don't know that it's going to make that big of a difference or any difference, but I'm going to take them out and do it where they're supposed to go. So, this is actually supposed to be looking at me like this. And
90.
No, just 180 to where I had it, and then no, I'm definitely going to get thermal grease all over myself.
Shit goes everywhere.
Yeah. Okay, so 1.
Call it pigeon poop.
It does kind of look like it.
Mm-hmm.
So 1 goes there. That's and then 2 goes there. Boy, their CPU is just in a way different spot from mine, so I might have to adjust these pipes a little bit. But we'll see when I get everything put together.
Yeah, because those pipes go like all the way across your motherboard.
Well, they have to. I mean, they're going to stick in both sides of the case.
Are the other ones shorter?
No, these are the short ones.
Well, they are.
Yeah, but it's the CPU's a little bit off to this side, so these definitely should be the shorter ones.
Yeah.
Okay, and this one keeps wanting to pop up, but once I get that other top plate on, it'll be fine. Where it bends is a little thicker, so it's not sticking into the groove like I think it's supposed to. And of course, in their model build one, there's no thermal grease involved in the pictures, so everything is nice and clean and perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Not the case. Okay, so there's 1, 2, and 3. And then 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so this was good at least that I plugged this USB in because I cannot get to that now. There's nothing blocking them. They're just annoying. Okay, so 4 goes here.
Alcohol wipes, I think, work the best. For
Yeah,
cleaning
I've got, I have a bottle of that alcohol that I'm just put on like one of those little cleaning pads or whatever.
You can also buy the pre-soaked wipes at the drugstore.
Or I could just go to Buffalo Wild Wings and they probably have the weird soapy lotiony ones though.
Yeah. I'm talking about the ones that are like, 85% alcohol, and they feel like cleaning wipes,
Yeah.
but it's just alcohol. You might want to use it to clean up the grooves, the part that's not going to have any copper in it.
Oh yeah. Well, not until I figure out for sure that this is where these are going to land.
Yeah.
I'll get
Yeah,
there.
absolutely.
Alright, pipes are placed.
This is a recommendation to any listeners.
Yeah, future listeners, future watchers, since at the moment it's just you.
Feel so special.
Okay, pipes are in. Now it's going to tell me to put the aluminum plate on with more grease on it, probably. Oh, they also show you if your connector's on the side. Here's some other fancy ways to do the pipes, where you like alternate them. Apply a thin layer of thermal paste on each groove on the aluminum top plate and install the plate via 8 pieces of H2. And H2 are the little cup head hex screws. I'm getting close to running out of this thermal paste, so this is good that this is the last deal for those. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right. Ugh. This is the least fun part of this for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be all OCD about it and get it like super nicely spread out.
As you should. On this part, you should.
Yeah. Well, this specific one is not actually as important as the copper one I did before, because this one just sits on top. It's not touching any of the components. I think this is actually supposed to suck heat out of the air and send it into the pipes.
Well, it'd also work as to equalize the temperature between the pipes. So if you have like a cold side of the case,
Right, it's a spreader.
yeah, it'll help with moving the hot into maybe a colder heat pipe.
Yeah. Yeah, I've definitely seen on some of the forum posts that people have started the thing up and then let it run for a while with like Prime 95 or whatever, and notice that half of the case is really cool, and then they'll go in and they'll like tweak the pipes to send more heat to one side or the other, just try to get it even.
Mm-hmm.
So we will see once I get something going on here. That's a ways away still. That's assuming I can even figure out how to hook the power up for my hard drives. Okay. Thermal grease applied. slide. Okay. So that just sits on top of there. Holds the pipes in place. Looks much nicer now. Let's see, where are my little cup screws? They're in here. There's 8 of those, so they sold. Just get it lined up. Luckily those all went into the holes without any finagling. Okay. Okay, now what? Oh, so now we're power supplying. So. Well, that might be a little bit complex then, because so for mini ITX, external AC/DC adapter, which is what I'm currently doing, because the other piece hasn't arrived yet, but I'll probably just do that temporarily and not close the case up all the way. Install the power adapter plate to the back plate, so there's this little steel that goes on here. Just so that there's a smaller hole basically for the... Ugh, I gotta wash my hands before I finish this, so I'm gonna get grease on everything. I will be right back. Okay. Back at it. Again. Okay, so then once you attach this little thing, Solid H1 backplate to the body. I might not do this yet because I'm going to be changing this out with a different power supply.
Okay.
So I don't want to screw a bunch of the case together before that comes. So I will just do this like open case lab style for now.
Does it have any heat sinking through the top of the case?
No, it's just a thin plate that goes on top.
Interesting.
So that was the right direction the first time I tried to do that. Okay, so that's where the ATX connector goes. And then this thing hooks on to the converter, which is, or that is the converter. It hooks on to this guy. With a little clip like that. And then the laptop power will go into this until the real one shows up. So that at least gives me power into the box. But I still have no idea how to distribute that power to my SATA drives. Because this little plug does not have anywhere to go that I can find. There is...
It's not on that power supply anywhere?
No, well, not that I saw. Let me take it off again and flip it around. Ugh. So it has two of the 4-pin, like that kind of hole, which I have cables for. Like this is going to go to the CPU.
Mm-hmm.
For one of them, for sure. The other one, I would assume, would be used for all of the hard drives. But the cable that came with it does not have that kind of connector. It has this kind of connector. So, that, there's a couple of spots on the motherboard that, I mean, it looks like a fan connector, almost.
It does.
Which, I mean, there's a fan connector, a white one underneath the heat pipes over here. Under the heat pipes being the operative word. But I don't think the voltage coming out of a fan connector is going to be high enough, or whatever, the power coming out of a fan connector is going to be enough power to
Run 3 hard drives.
3 hard drives, yeah. Even though they're solid state. Like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. So, this might be a Google opportunity. Either that or I dig through the old power supply box and see if I can find a different cable that's the 4-pin like that. And not only that, I still have to figure out for the one that goes underneath the the motherboard, the Molex style. Oh, somebody's at the door. Just a minute. Answering the door. Just a package. Okay. So. I mean, I guess I don't actually have to have a hard drive working to get into the BIOS at least and make sure that this thing is running and cooling and whatever.
Mm-hmm. You might be able to run memtest as well from the BIOS.
Yeah. Okay, well.
Or you could boot live CD and run Prime.
Yeah, throw a USB on it.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get the RAM back in. Okay. This board absolutely cannot have, well, maybe not absolutely, but it's going to be very difficult to put a video card in if you were going to try to do that for any reason, because the slot is completely blocked by the heat pipes. But since this is not meant to have video at all, it will be fine.
Even a riser card would be tricky.
Oh yeah, there's no way. You could do something where the Wi-Fi is, maybe that. I think that's an M2.
PCIe, probably a mini PCIe.
Yeah, I thought it was M2, but I don't know for sure. It was pre-installed, so I didn't have to mess around with that. Let's see. So we need CPU power. I'd like to have just a single 4 to 4 connector here, not the 4 to 8 that's split in half and has wasted extra cables. Well, for now, we'll do that, and then I'll just dig for a better one while I'm digging for hard drive power cables later.
There you go.
Oh, that was weird. A lot of cords just happened. Pretty sure those two just passed through each other in a way that physics shouldn't allow. Wow, what is going on here? That is quite amazing. Oh, they're like wired that way. There's nothing I can do about it. Yeah, another reason I want to find a better cable for this. Anyway, that will go there. This is going to plug into the ATX converter. On one of the two sides, I don't think it... Oh, it does matter. One, it's actually labeled that says CPU on this side and PCIe on this side. So don't screw that up, because that's how you light things on fire and or get to buy yourself. Oh, that's the out. I need the in. Wait, did I do that backwards? I did that backwards. Okay. What? Which one of these? One of these has to work. This one. This one works. There we go. Okay, so CPU power's there. SATA power we'll figure out later. Let me get the little power front button switches and HDD lights wired up here. This also...
I hate doing those ones.
Yeah, well, that's the weird thing too, is there's only like 3 individual ones. A lot of the motherboards now have that big block one where you just slam the whole block down and you don't have to actually line every single one of them up. So...
Yeah, my motherboard had the big block one, and then, but the case they were all divided, so you
Oh.
like had to build together the thing, and it was really annoying.
Not actually worth having the block.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are underneath the big ATX connector, so I definitely have to do those first, but I'm going to flip the case around so I can get to them without having to stand up. Okay, so speaker, there is no speaker. This might be another grab the book and just read, because I don't think I'm going to be able to read the little tiny. Oh, I wonder if it on boot is going to have a hissy fit that there's no CPU fan spinning in the BIOS. Let's see how
Oh, that's a good point.
can configure that to shut up. Okay. Front panel
Is it a server board?
No. I mean, Mini ITX is used for this kind of server a lot, but I don't think it explicitly is set up to be.
What's the chipset?
Z270.
Oh, okay.
Alright, I'm missing something here. So this is this way. So front panel should be right in front of me. It's the little colored ones, which is what I thought. So there's 2 greens, 2 reds, 2 blues, and 2 other greens. And I think that's not going to be... there's got to be a better picture of that. Getting close. There's the front panel audio header, which I don't have. Speaker header, USB header, SPDIF, and then BIOS. Come on, guys. Killing me here. Let's see what the content says. That's F audio. Did I miss something? F USB 1. F panel, there we go. Front panel header. Okay, so power switch. Come on, let go. Power switch is top 2 on the right. Okay. Power LED. Oh, does it care about plus minus? Not on the switch.
The switch shouldn't,
No,
but
that's,
the LED should.
yeah, so this is power LED minus on the right. And, whoops, I should have gone underneath this other cable for that. And then this is the plus. can do it. Okay. So power switch is handled. This random... Actually, I might just take this off. There's a extra 4-pin on the front of this thing that looks like the kind of thing that comes off of a power supply. So if you want to plug stuff into the outside of the case that uses that connector, like, for instance, this thing, actually specifically this thing, which goes to a weird little barrel connector, I think for external hard drives. That's what you can use that for, but once again, it's this goofy Molex, which I don't have a way of hooking up in any way. So maybe they'll talk about that more later in the book, but... Alright, so front panel's hooked up, power-wise. I skipped a step, accidentally. There is a set of these plates that you screw in to hold the heat pipes on once you've got them on. I'm going to wait on that until I know for sure that that's where these are going to live. Anything else that I need to put in here? I don't think there's anything else other than plugging it into a monitor so I can see what's going on in the BIOS. So, this little half of the 8 thing is going to be really annoying. I'm really going to have to dig for another cable. Can't even get it to like hook back together with the other one, so...
Hopefully you got one.
Oh, I'm sure I've got one somewhere. I've got like 3 power supplies sitting around that were like modular. Okay, so now that that's all it... Oh, jeez. This is going to not fit very easily either. That's what I get for buying literally the smallest possible case, though. Okay, so those will just hang out over there for now. I'm going to actually unplug this SATA, because that's not plugged into the power, and that will complain. I was really hoping that it was some kind of interface where the power and the data went over this one cable, but that does not seem to be the case.
Alas.
Alas, exactly. Okay. So, pretending like I did all of that cable wiring and closing of the case, and bracketing of the pipes. So, we've done that. And I think the rest of the book is actually just different versions of power supply installation, depending on which setup you go with. Mine will eventually be this one, but I don't have that yet. And then it says put in the hard drives. And then it says to close the case, and then end of book. So, that is all the book can do for me. Now I get to experiment on my own. So we will see if I can get this thing to boot up and show me some BIOS.
Sweet.
As is. So let's move some of this stuff.
I think I'm going to check off and go make some dinner.
Yeah, I gotta do that too here pretty quick. I'll just get a boot and confirm in the chat that yes, it worked, and then I'll probably kill the stream and go eat myself. But not eat myself, because I'm not a auto-cannibal. Let's see, HDMI, which I have already hooked up to my monitor. An extra one.
Alright, we'll catch you later, man.
Alright, see ya. Alright, HDMI in. And now I gotta switch the screen input. I might actually have to take the phone off the stand here just to show this. And where's my wonky little power supply that I've had for forever? Here we go. And this should be enough power since I don't have all the hard drives hooked up yet. This is an old school, it's called iGo. Basically it has tips for literally every possible device ever. And you just switch the tip out, and I might even get lucky here and it might be the right one. But you just switch the tip out for whatever other device you're trying to plug into it. So, we will get that plugged in there, assuming this thing even works still. It's been a long time, so. And where am I going to get that plugged in? I guess I can unplug that switch. And give me a blue light, please. Blue light. Cool. So this for now is going to be our temporary supply. And the cable for this needs to go into this. And that is not the correct tip, but I have an entire bag of other tips here, so one of these will likely work. And if not, I will just have to wait till tomorrow to turn this thing on. Okay. And that's like for an old iPhone. And that's for the car. So, don't need any of this. Okay, which one of these bad boys is going to work here? This one looks promising. It fits. It says S35 revision A. So if you're looking for a tip for something like this, and you have an iGo or similar, S35 revision A seems to be the only one that fits. I just realized that my hands have been out of the shot for quite a bit of this. Hopefully not a lot of it, but I guess I'll go back and watch it and see. So, hopefully I don't fry this thing. This power supply that I have only goes up to 100 watts, and it is a 160 watt capable ATX transformer, converter, whatever you want to call it. So since it's an underpowered power supply, I shouldn't be too worried, hopefully. But since I know very little about actual electronics, who knows? So, moment of truth here. Wish me luck. Blue light's still on the iGo. Previously, when I had this thing hooked up to a laptop, if something was wrong, the iGo itself would actually shut off on the brick. I'm assuming it's some kind of protection thing. So, HDMI is hooked up. Hopefully that's, I guess I can look in the book and make sure. Hopefully that's the correct one that the screen's going to want to go out of immediately. I don't know, it might auto switch too. Come on, where's the rear panel? Rear panel. HDMI port. You can use this port to connect your HDMI supported monitor. The maximum supported resolution is 2160. It's actually 4K for real, not the computer 4K. It's the TV 4K, 4096 by 2160. But the actual resolution supported are dependent on the monitor. So at seems like it doesn't actually care which one you use. So we will flop the input over on the monitor. Whoops. I could learn to use my monitor. And hopefully we will see something when I hit the power button here. Ooh, blue light. And there's yellow lights on the motherboard. And that is not the correct input on my monitor because I got nothing. And the other HDMI input also has nothing, no signal. So, how's our heat? It's not even getting warm. It's really weird because it's completely silent, like 100% silent. So you can't actually tell if it's doing anything. It's definitely not, well, maybe warmer than room temperature. It's really hard to tell. So anyway, I'm going to turn that off. Let's see. So ATX 12 volt connector here. That's the CPU one. I might actually hook this into a little TV that only has one input, so I can be sure that it's on the right one and I don't have to mess with that while it's getting hot. So let me just grab that just behind me here. Okay, and then need this HDMI cable from the other monitor. Yeah, I do need an IR thermometer. Let's see. There is, if anybody watches Electro Boom, he does have the Seek thermal camera on his cell phone all the time, which would be exactly what I would need because this is being recorded on my cell phone. But since I don't have one, we will just have to make do. So HDMI in. Alright, and the camera can kind of see the screen. And I think I can even correct for the wonky refresh rate. Anti-banding, 50 hertz. No, 60 hertz. And neither of those are working, so never mind. Alright, well, let's just turn it on and see what we get. No signal. And, oh, there we go. Hey, hey. 29C. There we go. There's some BIOS. I guess it would have been smart to plug a keyboard or something in. Oh, man. Let's see. Keyboard from the computer. And let's just try a front panel USB because it's here. Yep, that worked. Or at least the keyboard lit up. It may need to be plugged in before boot for this to actually work though, so Turn it off again. Turn it on. F12 boot menu, delete BIOS setup, Q flash. No, and the keyboard is still not doing anything. So that's disappointing. Maybe I don't have the option to use the front panel for that. Oh, okay, so interesting there. The front panel USB does not work in BIOS for the keyboard. This specifically is Gigabyte GA-Z270N with Wi-Fi. So if you're doing a build off of my build that's the same, just keep that in mind. Don't try to use the keyboard on the front. It's not the board's fault. Well, it is the board's fault, but it's not like broken. It just needs to be plugged in the back. Okay, system date. That's tomorrow, but I don't really care about that right now. Boot up and unlock better be on. Full screen logo. That's sure, it's not going to ever show on a screen anyway. Windows 8.10. It is definitely Windows 8.10. And this, well, no, actually, I don't know yet. We might be doing Linux server or Proxmox server or FreeNAS or who knows. So we'll just leave that alone. PCIe does not matter because we're not going to be using any of those. So, irrelevant. LAN controller, obviously we want on. RAID must be enabled. Reboot needed when succeeded. Proceed, yes. Okay. So I am going to do RAID 5 on these drives. So we might as well get that on now, so it's ready. And reboot doesn't take too long. Not enough hard drives to create a RAID volume. Yeah, that's because I can't figure out how to power them right now. Thank you very much. So that will probably just kick me back. Yeah, it will. Advanced frequency. So if I need to underclock or undervolt anything here, I might do that. Can probably turn on XMP once I'm sure that everything is staying cool enough. But we'll leave that alone for now. So pretty much I just want to see my temps. But I think that that is one of these little side panel things. If you see right here, there's like a little slider, but that requires a mouse. So I will plug my mouse in as well. So things to keep in mind if you are going to build this out in the countryside and you left all your mice at home, you may not be able to finish. Oh, well, it works. There we go. So temp is 34C, 33C, running at 3.4 gigahertz right now. So it's coasting around 33, 34, which is good. That's not going any higher. 34, 35, 33. Feeling the plate still feels pretty cool. Copper pipes. There's definitely some heat in the pipes, so the aluminum top plate doesn't get a ton of heat, which is probably fine. And let's see. What's down here? Easy mode. Ooh, hey, look at that. Easy mode. Check this out. There's like cool charts. Smart fan. Well, we can turn these all off because there's never ever going to be a fan on this entire thing. Temperature warning control. I mean, we can enable the warning. Oh, so the fan fail warning was disabled by default, which is interesting. I wonder if that would be disabled if we had one plugged in, or if that's just always what it says. Let's see. So the other parts of the system are a little warmer, 41, 42C. CPU staying nice at 34 though. Fan speed control. Doesn't look like you can disable any of this stuff. I guess you can't really see. Let me move this. And we'll try to get more of the screen on the screen here. Alright, well. Back. No bootable device found, that's fine. It sees DIMM 1 and 3. So the RAM's working. Fine. The CPU says 2.8 gigahertz, but it's clearly running it higher than that. Ooh, easy overclock. There's a little. Yeah, we'll be leaving some of that stuff alone for now. Rapid storage needs to be on. Yeah, let's just do this time and stuff while we're here. If I can figure out how to edit it. There we go. 12. And then it is currently 8. Whoops. Ugh, I hate the controls on these things. 8. 04. No, 04, not 47. Ah. Probably going to be 805 by the time I type this in right. Unless this is 2004. Oh, it does let you do 24-hour. Interesting. Okay, mouse speed should be 2x because it was, there we go. 2x seems to be more accurate with, in case people are curious. Ultra fast boot. Interesting. So, VGA, partial initial. Ah, so this is the USB support. So if I change this to full initial, my guess is that the front panel USBs will now work when I'm just in BIOS mode. So that's cool. Let's see. I think PC health status, here we go. So all the voltages, case open, yes. Well, I would tend to agree with that. This, this part right here, that's the case. That's open. You can't. Interesting. You can't actually move down through these. I guess there's not any other information other than just looking at it, so all the voltages seem pretty good, so this power supply does work, which is good to know if for some reason I decide to pull the internal one out because it's giving me too much heat. I can always just use this instead. Yeah, I guess I'll try turning on XMP on the memory and everything, and so 3200 megahertz instead of 2133. And as far as I can tell, these XMP profiles are pretty automatic, so you don't have to do a whole ton. And all this subtimings, I'm just going to leave that alone because I don't want to make this an unbootable thing and have to reset the BIOS with a jumper. And I think I just need to save these and do one more reboot, and then I'll go make dinner. SATA controller configuration. I can't do some of that until I figure out how to hook these hard drives in. So, yeah, well, let's save and exit. Save. Oh, CPU's up to 36, 35, 36, 35. So we'll just, you can't click to save and exit, you need to hit enter, and we'll see what happens here with the ultra fast boot. I may end up having to do a jumper anyway if the XMP is not as automatic as I thought it would be. Yeah, because it seems to be this yellow, this light over here on the motherboard. I don't know if you can see that on the video, but that keeps cycling on and off over and over, which to me says it's trying to boot and having troubles booting. There's no speaker on this case, so I can't get beep codes. My other motherboard, my Asus, has a little LED like number display, so you can see what the beep codes are without having the speaker, and it just shut off. So it definitely is having trouble with that setting, unless it was just doing the auto config, because now it just tried to restart on its own again. You can't see there's a blue light on the power button up front. Okay, we got something on the screen. Boot failure detected. System has experienced a boot failure, possibly due to incorrect configuration. Alright, so the XMP stuff I'm going to have to mess with later, but that's fine. We will just load the defaults and turn that back off, which it is now off by default. And I think I'm going to save this and go get some food and find some power cables for all these hard drives, hopefully, and we will see if we can get that wired up. So, adios for now. Oh wait, I can't stop the stream because my mouse is still hooked up to the other computer and the keyboard. So, come on. There we go. Alright. Like, once again, adios for now.